right, here we are, Stellar Horizons 2 at the 2300 turn. And you're beginning to see a lot more exploration happening, you know, pushing out from Earth. It's still a little weird. It's only 2, maybe 3 out in this direction. It's 1, 2, you know, you're talking about this column. So there's like a significant amount of board off to the right. And again, I don't know why this decision was made to extend the board in one direction only. But it does create a sort of artificial terrain over here. In terms of the big trade question, I'm leaning more and more towards just playing with the rules as written for trade. I'm not convinced that my modifications... First of all, switching to my modifications would be hard. Mid-game, I kind of ran into some places where I'm like, oh, do I have to do this? Do I have not? And I'm like, yeah, it's just not working. And secondly, the game is designed for the trade system it has. And, you know, there are aspects like drawing trade goods which are intended to limit some of the facets. I think without directives you could probably get away with the trade system I have. But I really don't think the directives are going to be equally difficult. I think my trade system would actually make some of them far too easy. And others, maybe, I don't know. I just didn't want to futz with it any further. Over here on the tech chart, you can see a lot of tech in that third column. People collected up here, etc. Some of the techs are getting pretty expensive. Some of them not. Like harsh space environment, this is only a 10, you know? But we're hitting 20s, 25s, stuff like that in that level. The cards that people have are beginning to get exceedingly expensive if they're the level 2 cards, or if they've already bought, you know, a couple of cards. It becomes really, really hard to convince yourself to pay that extra tax on them. Seeing less combat now, I think mainly because it's not incredibly decisive, and it's hard to tell if you're getting much of an advantage or disadvantage off of fighting. Like the choice to fight is one that doesn't really, you know, provide you with a huge benefit. That's kind of cool. If the game allowed too much from fighting, I feel like it would just devolve into stomping people, which wouldn't be what this game is about. Guess that's about it. Thoughts about doing a rant, which I may do. It's getting on 7 a.m. and I don't know, getting close to dawn, I guess. All right. Even with plenty of daylight here, and it was already morning-ish, like it was already light a while back. I tried to sleep, didn't work. Let's get a little bit more done, I guess. On the base production, we'll have to reshuffle those. I have to think about these things and look at them every so often, because something might have come into play. I don't think so. Those are pretty hard for the most part. This guy can buy his, but okay. Base production, that's going to be a choice of money or technology. What is from any one planet, right? The real question I have is with the anomalies. I think you just get the anomaly production, period, the end, in addition to anything else. You don't actually have to pick that kind of production to get it. But I'm not sure. Okay, we got the blockade possibilities, which might actually happen. And it doesn't answer the anomaly question there. I don't know if it does here. Yeah, so only when producing the indicated product. Okay, so there's my answer. You have to do the right type of stuff. So you're not going to get like the extra biology tech or whatever unless biology's there. The flora production, I have to hunt down, as an example for this one, I have to hunt down the resource, and that shows up on everybody's base. I love the tactics of creating techs rather than money. Although in some places that might be an iffy choice. Everybody just did. Over here, for example, here it's 2 tech versus 7 money. This one is not actually in play. I don't know if there were any where the money was any. Here would have been one. So 4 tech versus 9 money. That would have been an interesting choice to take cash. But frankly, I feel like I'm low on tech all the time. Yeah, I'm low on money too, but the tech feels like I can really kind of gather more from it. And as long as I'm producing, somewhere around the same amount of tech as I am the money, although again 4, but there's an additional one here for the biology marker, so that's 5 total tech. Plus, larger colonies produce an additional tech. They also only produce an additional $1 billion. So like the bonuses are better. Well, see, it depends on what you're at. So like this is 2 billion, but still only 1 tech. But I kind of feel like that 2 to 1 is about right. If you're not getting twice as much money as you are tech, just fucking take the tech. Yes, you can use the money flexibly. Like tech, but it's not a 1-for-1 basis, right? The average tech, let's say the distribution's even between 1 and 5, the average tech is worth 3 points. So like, if it's not at least 2 to 1, you shouldn't even be thinking. But because of that, and because most of the planets have their highest tech, that most of the planets that have been settled have their highest tech being physics, we have really kind of eaten up the physics pool. And of course, people have a lot of physics tech now. This is where you get your tech, is off your colonies. Poor starfarers. They're just fucked. They have lost the game already, as far as I can tell. Okay, on to the main part of the turn. The problem with following a heuristic like that is maybe there were some people, like the consortium, who do not have much money, who maybe wanted $1, well, maybe wanted money to repair a ship or something. But, I also have things like this 25-point card that I kind of want too. So, yeah, it's a tough call. Cases, I'm working my way through the map to look for repairs right now, because the map is getting so messy that I can't really make my mind up, and repairs are an easy thing to look at. This guy, he can repair cheaply here. He doesn't have money, but he's got trade goods. So yeah, I'm going to turn in some trade goods to repair ships. They're starting to get complicated. Things are getting big enough. So, I mean, look, obviously like a base like a 7 can build a real ship. But even something like this with a 4, I could build that. Which I should be keeping in mind what repairs I did. I think I repaired this ship for 1. So I really should be doing them together. Okay. I learned my lesson. But still, I could put an RE into play closer to unexplored stuff even though I can't put a real ship in there, that'll allow me to, get exploring more quickly and maybe gather more tech or get other bonuses. Similar call. So I have this RE that's 4. I'm trying to figure out the Starfarers what to do, because I'm going to be landing a colony at this point. And it's not big enough to build anything, though. But I could launch an RE from here with the trade goods that I have. But it's a long way. So what's my RE movement? It's still just ×2. Nobody's reached the ×1 modifier. So to get to anywhere would pretty much, that I could explore decently, safely, whatever, would pretty much cost me 4 turns. It's not absolutely clear to me that that's worth it. And then this area, it's starting to get invaded. It's starting to get cluttered everywhere. The Starfarers are really in an ugly position. So I don't know. And they're the guys who didn't produce any tech, so they couldn't have produced money either. Other people, this ship was kicking around there, I think. I don't think I just built that. I don't know, maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did. I think I did just build that. With the intention, because I have enough money to haul those guys out and keep improving the size of my colonies. I did buy an RE over here at this base. It feels so hard to turn in the trade goods at $1 each. Like, not because it's physically hard or anything, but like, okay, these guys were in total disaster area in terms of what they have. But then I look at the Praetorians, and so they have $6, which is not enough to build their good ship. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now they can build the ship. If I could come up with another 18, it might be worth hauling stuff. Worried about him. He has a decent sized warship he could threaten me with. And again, maybe I'm being, hyper worried about, like, oh, somebody could drop a warship on me in Earth. Yeah, do they really want the escalation markers? I don't know. Because the tendency is, if there's a lot of escalation being drawn in the game, the bad stuff just all gets flushed back in here. I mean, maybe not all of it, but everything that's going back in there is bad. Right? Well, this guy had too many good ones, but in general, you're going to draw more bad than good. So the good stuff is going to start collecting up and pooling. Interesting. If everybody agrees to stay there, they could resolve this system quarantine. Create some biology, some Wuhan bats or something. If they can come to an agreement as to how to split that, I don't know if it's worth it. Like, yeah, it's just not clear. Do I just want to push on further? So then that becomes all kind of questions like, what's CV range for these guys? And both of them can go 2, which means they could go further out and just say, screw that. Yeah. If I had another, if I was this guy, I could resolve it more easily. But yeah, that's kind of tricky. And right now I'm looking at combats. And I'm looking at this guy in particular. He has a 7 here. He's not going to launch a ground attack there. I don't think he has any others, so I'll shift him down. But I'm going to just kind of look at each player individually in order, as I should. But I think we're going to see an attack here. The ships are pretty big with their color on them. The bases not so much. So it's kind of hard to tell where all your opportunities for combat are. I don't think the Praetorians have any. They got a base here, base up here. Their ships are away from everyone for some reason now. I'm definitely set up for combat is here with the consortium, and it's their turn to choose. So, what do they got going on? Well, they could raid. And percentiles. Yeah, you could take damage from raid. Which could take money, it could take attack marker, it could take goods, all kinds of stuff. This I think would be the place I would want to raid, but it can't destroy the last base, right? Yeah, it can't destroy the last. So that's kind of undesirable. But what I could actually do is I could launch a ground combat. Oh, it's one combat in each system. Try to wipe this thing out. Those guys are undesirable. So that would be 7, and 7 is 14 to 3. And we'll give the attacker the red. We'll do it. I don't think there's any combat bonuses. Add up your combat value, add up ship size. Both players roll simultaneously. There's like a 1/10 the number of... Oh, no. Okay, you can attack... ground combat. You attack another player's base with your own base. Both bases are included. I think that's the 1/10. No. That's a die roll modifier. That's hitting the other guy's bigness. Okay, so 1/10 of him is not going to round up to anything, but 1/10 of him is going to round up to a +1 on the die roll for the defender. The defender will use the black die. So that's a die roll of 2 with a strength of 3. He's going to do 1 hit. And we got a die roll of 5 with a strength of 14. So we do 4 hits. I think we'll just destroy this, but we will take a loss. Now I'm going to take that loss on this. It wouldn't normally be able to, but I was going to drop that base off here. So that'll work out that way. And now we pay the price in escalation. We made a combat. We destroyed 3 settlements. So that's 2.5. We eliminated a base. That's 4.5. So we're owed, yellow is owed 5 IP, and we're owed 5 of these things for wiping out the enemy base. Ugh. Hey, there's a good one. But remember, I throw the... that is one thing. When you have only good ones, throwing the victory point ones in makes sense sometimes because... Okay, let's see. Earn -1 for trade goods sold. Ooh, nasty. Migration chance down 20%. Initiative roll down 20%. All kinds of bad stuff. And you can't attack. Okay. And now the other thing that's going to happen that I haven't been doing before was I'm going to record this by giving him a little flag there. That's to remind me for next turn that he can attack the consortium without having to pay an escalation or influence cost. The only attack made, you know, here we were outgunned, and here he didn't really want to. They might work together. I don't know. They gotta make that decision pretty soon though, because it's cargo transfer and trade, and then movement. It's getting crowded and cluttered enough that it's really becoming a pain to figure out each of these pulses. It's beginning to get to the point where it's really taxing me as I look around for, hey, do I want to pick anything up? Do I want to drop anything off? I missed this one, didn't I? No, this is they look the same color when I look on the board. Yeah, so far I'm okay, but somebody might want to pick up goods and deliver them or whatever. And that one where where somebody was dropped off at a planet here. Yeah, he dropped something off. So he might, that's already accounted for. I did that ahead of time. Kind of sucks for the consortium. He's going over here. He can pick up ore and rare materials, right? He wants to deliver, no, he doesn't. But ore and rare materials can be delivered back to Earth. Now, do I want to do that? Or do I want to wait and maybe take a heavy ship there for that? I don't know. I don't know. My heaviest ships are up here, the ones that are operating. They're heading to Epsilon Eridani, which is my directive, to go explore that. I don't really think hauling these goodies back, and yeah, I ate the flora to repair stuff. I don't think hauling those goodies back is necessarily a great move for me. I think I want to get a big cargo ship to pull materials, and maybe I'll have a directive that helps with them. Of course, that means that these are kind of at risk, but though we're loading up another big colony ship, I don't know where it's going to go. I got only 3 bases, and I got them all loaded up. I got them already on the board, but filling them up bigger will help. I hope I'm not fucking up. I gotta remember, okay, so one person does not have CV range 2. That's these guys. Which is fine, they don't have any bases, because there's the issue of you have to have the base has to be able to, that your range 1 or 2 or whatever from, has to be able to support the ship that you're sending out there. Poor Starfarers, they landed a base, and they're dropping their entertainment off there as well. But they got a problem. They cannot, because they don't have CV range 2. They're the one person without it. They can't leave that inner core around Earth. Also because my base won't support my ship. So I'm kind of stuck sitting around in an area that's looking really unhealthy with a lot of warships heading into it. Now, I could go down here, but there's warships here. I could go over here. There's nothing bad there, at least, but there's no opportunity for exploration. So I'm going to stick around and hope for the best. Hope that people don't pick on me because I'm not doing well. But, I mean, if they want to, basically, if you get somebody in this kind of position, in this bad a shape, you've got them nuked out of the game, unless everybody kind of lets them climb back up. I had to check because I was wondering about it. So the way this is worded, you can only move to systems that are in range of one of your bases with enough settlements to build the ship, including modifiers. This is a big deal because I can send multiple ships out to here coming off this as long as they're 7 or less. Oh, they're not. Oh, fuck. I need more base. Well, that blows. Of course, I can go up here, but yeah, I was kind of hoping to push further and further out. Pause there, going into the exploration step. it just, doing a whole turn, early on, I couldn't do it a whole turn because I was unfamiliar with the game. Now I'm much more familiar with it and moving through it more quickly and more comfortably, but there's a lot going on, and I can use a rest. It is almost Tuesday, like just before midnight. Hey, April Fool's, awesome. Anyway, for the most part, nothing too exciting has happened in terms of exploration. But here the Starfarers took 2 hits. They did succeed. I think I cheated, because I have a 4 and a 5 here. And this was at 2. Yeah, they succeeded once. I thought they cleared it out, but they did it taking 2 damage. You gotta be careful. I just caught myself cheating in their favor. But yeah, I mean, they're suffering some kind of bad luck as well as like decisions which have gone against them. Bad luck continues, even though they have a remarkable RE exploration or malfunction of 16%. They've rolled a couple of really terrible dot. Oh, wait. That last one survived. I didn't realize they had this card. So they're down to 13%. They barely survived this one. But they lost one up here. They didn't find anything of any interest. Remember, they want Vega. They want to move that down one. Check this out. Everybody moved out of here because the first guy who could have maybe made the deal or whatever was like, yeah, I don't see the advantage to it. And the second guy was left with no chance of success, so he pulled out. That's the end of exploration. That puts us to develop tech. Shit, I don't know if I'm ready to do it, but I guess I kind of have to. I've waited this long, right? How much I hate making decisions, and I enjoy watching them play out, right? But I really hate making them, and especially when there's a lot of information to take in board state and everything like that, as opposed to, I don't know, I mean, it's not like the complexity of the odds or anything like that is an issue. It's just taking in all the information. Some of it may come from solo play, but I have that same dislike when I'm playing in an opposed game, where I just don't want to be faced with lots of little choices that I have to evaluate all over the place. I don't mind making like one big strategic decision and then everything else kind of follows from it. And it's kind of the antithesis of modern game design, right? Modern game design, and I've said this before, people are always saying, many meaningful decisions. I don't want many meaningful decisions. Because that's too complicated a manifold to navigate. I want a couple of really big decisions. That's, my review of Monopoly. I think it's my review, but it may be something else. Was that it's like one of very few games where you make a single big decision, the trades, that like impacts everything, right? Like, that can decide the game, your capacity to make a single big trade, and everything else just kind of falls from it. And I can see where that's unattractive to some people, but to me, it's about the only game where that's really the case. You have many options and many places where you can make that big decision, or a fair number of them, and that figuring out when your best choice to do that is, when you're in the best position to make that big deal. And the fact that it's like a diplomatic, negotiated decision where both people get an advantage, but you've got to keep in mind not only that you're getting an advantage over all the other players who aren't making that deal, but you have to also take into account that the value of the deal itself. But if you don't make the deal, someone else will make a deal, right? And you may be cut out and in the worst position. So you've got this kind of really complicated and emotionally fraught decision to make within the negotiation framework. But with this game, like many modern Euros and whatnot, I'm just constantly having to evaluate the game state and see what little incremental thing helps me, where I feel like that should be almost automatic. You know, I should be making a decision like, oh, I'm going to concentrate on tech really heavily. And I can just kind of stick with that very easily. But I can't in this because of my opportunistic style of play. I end up, you know, yes, I do have a rule of thumb, which is, hey, kind of try to preserve your resources because they could be important, right? But that may not be a positive rule of thumb either. Dig into that. Let's take a look at one person here. He's got tons of different resources, right? So he could actually research in all three areas just fine. But this is only because we just recently had a base production. So I know that my resources are going to become more limited. I look at my cards and I have one I like, which I could buy, and maybe I want to, because maybe that opens things up. So this would cost me 17 because I already have this, right? Yeah, he doesn't have a bonus on this. I have that in physics. I don't give a shit about the second card. I really don't care about that. Maybe I should, but I don't. I could easily buy that as well, right? But again, I don't really care about that one for whatever reason, but the other one I kind of like, which means I don't want to throw my cards, and maybe I want to buy that one while I have this huge quantity of resources. But then I have to compare it to what else can I do? Well, in engineering, I am looking at this. I could get this for 5. That would put me in a position to be able to advance into here. This one I can't get yet. Movement modifier I could get for 9 of physics. That would put me in a position to get this really great RE movement modifier at ×1, which if I want to rely heavily on REs is really good. And I may need to do that because I'm stuck over in this corner with my 3 bases over here, which means I'm going to be coming out of Seoul into areas that are really not, you know, that friendly to me anymore. Although maybe I can expand into them. You know? Anyway, but beyond that. Also the cheaper CV modifier, nice thing. Maybe that would help me more, right? Now, of course, I could jumpstart things, which might allow me to discard cards, and that's another factor to go into it, against my heuristic, but I could do that. Did we look at the engineering side of things? Yeah, so this one would be 5, which is kind of the, hey, let's take the cheap thing, that's cool, right? And it would put me in a position to get to the quantum communications, which I think is a really powerful capability if you're relying on REs. On the other hand, this is 25. I don't have that, and I don't have the money to do it. I do have the influence, but let's forget that. I don't want to spend those kind of resources. And then up in biology, I have a lot of options too. So for example, for 15 biology, I don't really have that, so let's leave that alone. I don't want to expend too much. This would be 15 as well. Don't really want to do that. But a harsh space environment I could get, and that would only be 10, and that would get me an IP. And I have 5, 9, I could throw a buck in. Hey, beautiful, right? That sounds attractive in its own sort of way. And now I've got this. Do I want to boost a lot of things at once? Do I want to do one? I think I'm going to grab the point for this because, you know, it's the only time I can get that point, right? Basically. In regard to all these decisions, I also have to take into play my board state, right? So there's a couple places I'm interested in. I'm over here, and I have to think about other things like what am I going to get out of my chit. So right now, I'm set up so that I'm doing biology, but am I going to be staying here? I don't know. I've got some, I've got a warship, but I'm facing a couple of warships. I don't care about Epsilon Arendani. He's the one who cares about it, but I don't know that. There's other shit I could accomplish had I chosen to. Oh, I did choose to go into this so that I could, expand into systems that are really not very habitable. But, but, then I look back and I'm like, oh, but I've already got my 3 bases. Oh, wait, it's another century. There's a 4th base available now. Well, that's interesting, So, like, I could shift my focus out of this little corner, which has its own advantages towards defensibility and whatnot, especially since my colonies are all fucking tiny. There's a 4 here, but the others are 1s. I think I'm going to buy this for the exploration bonus and the chance of anomalies, which gets me things. I think I'm going to get that in addition. So then one of the things I have to consider is, where am I exploring right now? Well, I'm maybe exploring biology, and then over here I'm heading into a physics. How do I feel about that? Well, keeping small numbers, so one side of it is keeping big numbers keeps them out of the pool, so if other people are exploring physics, they're not likely to draw them, so I keep, planets open and whatnot, but keeping small numbers makes a lot of sense, first of all, if I'm exploring physics, but it also makes a lot of sense if I want more flexibility in terms of what I buy. So I got all these factors to kind of balance, and it's like, this is on one decision basically, although I've already made half that, or part of that decision in moving forward here. I can't do the bio card because I took a biotech, but I do think that I want to buy this card. I'm set up to get a level 2 card over here, which maybe I want to do as well. Maybe it'll be an engineering one, and it'll give me real advantages that I'm not seeing too much edge in getting anything here except maybe this, which I have to work my way through here and blah, blah, blah. I have so many different kind of counters. Now I can make a choice. I need to come up with 17. This isn't 17. Nine. I guess I'll throw a lot of big counters down. I don't really like doing it, but I'm not getting a nice pool, and I'd like flexibility. I really would. That gives the kind of decision-making process that I have to go through for each of these 7 players each turn. Now, again, if you're not playing solo, you only have to make that once. Right? But still, it's a lot of decision, a lot of possible options, a lot of balancing factors and everything. And I don't like to be taxed in terms of my decision-making process that often. Even, especially in real life. Like, I don't like lots of little decisions. I don't like big decisions in real life either. But once I make one, everything should just kind of fall into place. It should just kind of seem easy once I kind of make my decisions as to what I'm doing within that context. Which doesn't mean I can't switch direction, but it should just be apparent what I have to do. In this game, I'm not having, the kind of, oh my God, I've got no idea what to do. I've got lots of ideas what to do, which is better than there are some games where I'm just like, okay, I know what I want to do. I have a broad strategy or something like that. I have no idea how to effectuate it, right? Those are the worst kinds, where it's like, I don't know what I should do in order to accomplish the goals I'm seeking. Other decisions, this guy decided to follow up into here because it's cheap, and he wants to save resources, he has other plans, whatever. To the consortium, they decided to buy 2 as well. Catching into here to get the IP, inhabit any system, great, you know, fantastic, whatever. But he also wanted to buy this robotic swarms because he had the points for it, and it's like, screw it, let's get rid of that. I'm not sure I want to keep my other cards. This will allow me to fish more if I deplete my points and don't want to go further. And I got starports, which, this is a weird card. So systems where you have a base get both demand markers instead of drawing 2 and picking 1. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, except what it means is you got to be paying attention during other people's actions a lot. If they're delivering goods, say, at a base that you have, or fully explore a place where, well, no. If they're delivering goods at a base where you have. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put demand markers where people have dropped bases in some cases. I notice I forgot to do it here. Oopsie. Gonna fix that. The only case where it happened, and it may have happened this turn, it happened either this turn or last, where the givers went there. So now, again, hard decisions. I draw 2, beverages and ore. Okay, I look around, I don't have any of that shit. Since it's my base, and it might be attractive for other people to get there, I don't think I have a directive that cares about that. I want to sell stuff at Earth. Now I have to look at the beverages and ore chits. See if there are any around. There's an ore. Ore is produced at ADK, is desired at MO, not very appealing. Beverages, I know there were some kicking around, are produced at MO, but are not appealing here. I think ore is worth more, so I'll pick the ore one. Now, it's important that I make sure that I got these everywhere else, but I think that is the only place that I screwed up. Forgetting a rule, you know, it's going to happen a lot. But especially since I slide the base off and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, done. You know, I'm actually surprised that I haven't fucked up in more places on that particular case. But it's important to do it now because, well, no. It's important to do it before, you know, this, I want to make sure that this card, if it's in effect, is going to do different, you know, it would change the behavior. So if that card was already out, it could create a potential problem if he dropped a base off, which he's planning on doing. That would end up, you know, he'd be like, oh, I get to draw 2. And it's like, no, wait, I should have been able to. Otherwise, yeah, you know, it's like just, hey, shouldn't there be one here? Compare the starport thing, which affects everyone, and it's kind of annoying because of that, right? Because everyone has to pay attention, to the Traders Guild, which does something similar. Draw an extra trade good during economic phase. Fine, whatever. You know, that's just, I get more of these. But when drawing demand markers, draw an extra to choose from, which means if I deliver, I create more demand, or if I settle a base or finish off a survey, I create more demand, which is easier for play, but it's kind of weird too, right? Like there's like this different asymmetrical situation as to which one comes up. I don't know. Opportunism also comes into play, and I don't know why I'm so busy on the trading aspect in terms of chatter. Maybe I just want to talk, and this is the time when it's here, but I'm also having ideas. So I have a lot of engineering goods. I don't have any biology. There would be a cheap buy in biology, which is appealing if I want to hold my cards. I don't know if I care to. I'm not really thrilled with my cards, but I have a cheap buy in biology, but I don't have the points for it. In physics, I have a fair number of physics points. I'm trying to remember what my decision was. Like why I picked this up and wanted to talk. Like I had a reason. Let's see, it had to do with the engineering side of things. So 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh yeah. So something like this, I could buy this for 17. Appealing, right? Buy Crew 5 ships or CV5s. Fantastic. Except it's really expensive right now, and I don't get anything for it. Being the first person in, I get an IP. Being the second person in on something where I have to pay 17 and let's say 6 people are in there already, then I would only, well, or close to 6, I would only have to pay 5. Feels like it's really, really hard to make that jump into that. Now, I can't do it, and neither could this guy. Fuck. All right, he's going to have to buy that. Let's get him in there. That's 9 physics. He doesn't want to do this, but he's going to have to make that up. Because I don't want to undo where I went. Oops, cheated. Okay, so he'll have the CV movement modifier of 3, which was required to get to here. Again, I don't remember when I got there, but screw it. I got to fix it, and like fixing this would just be really horrible. Unless I'm not further along. Yeah, the pathways are painful. But yeah, I would have a hard time getting in there. What that means, technically this should already be here, which 1, 2, 3, 4 is 12. Like, I think everybody should get the advantage of him having been there already. So that would be 12 physics. That might be my best move, positioning me so I can get in there. On the other hand, this one would be really, really cheap and really effective for me. And I would be the last person in there. And I think that's actually the one I want to do. But yeah, the decision making as to not going into here because it would be expensive and I wouldn't get much. Whereas, you know, I might be able to advance into, like here, it would only cost me 15 and I'd get an IP. And that would be kind of confusing. I think I'll put another blue marker there if I do that. That's a nice bonus. That would get my RE exploration way up, and I'm relying heavily on REs. So that's appealing as well. I chose to buy both of these because I may want my CVs to move quickly, although they may be dead. There's warships coming in. Oops. I may want my CVs to move quickly. I also want this IP and the advantage that comes from that. So I'm like, yeah, it's worth buying 2 because I don't really care about the cards that I have. The cards that I draw don't help at all. So, you know, there's kind of this mix between, do you want to save resources or do you want to get the advantages quickly? Normally you would want to get advantages quickly, but there are, again, many different like ways to kind of calculate out where am I getting the most benefit. Tough choice. The Praetorians have 25 physics. That's enough to buy this card. Gives them an extra ship. It has to be an RE. They have a limited number of ships. Of course, it's up to 6 now, which is kind of nice. But for that same 25 points, I could actually push my way into here and get really good movement with my CVs, which I also really like. The engineering points, the CV5 would be appealing, but I don't have that kind of points. I think I'm going to go for the ramjets and get the faster ships. That's going to make me a better warrior. It's an advantage of sorts, especially if I'm exploring physics areas, of which I am here. These are engineering. Of throwing a bunch of physics ships back in the cup because this was getting pretty low and you only get like $1 billion if you can't draw a jet, which is really shitty because it means you can't survey at all. Like, you can't succeed in a survey and all kind of other shit. Do we care about the engineering? We kind of like this card, but I don't know if I want to hold it anymore. I really like this card, and I just don't have the points for it. So yeah, we'll go with that. That I was talking about before, that this becomes like painfully expensive to be the second person in, right? That really serves as this huge disincentive to dropping a bunch of chits in to get in there. But doing so, if it's a good advance, which this is, potentially, don't know. Because I got no money right now. I don't know when I'm going to get lots of money. If it is a good advance, I may want it enough to pay for it. And here's the thing, it's just as expensive for anybody else to keep up with me on that. So that's also kind of a thing. So we made all those decisions. Green and tan each get an IP. So we're advancing here into settle any system with 2 people. These guys moving into the CV movement modifier. That's taking into account that green should have been there before they bought this. So I want to penalize, I want to give everybody who should have had an advantage for them being able to get there to have it. Did green have the points for it? Probably. Although I can't be absolutely certain. A lot of physics was generated. So I don't know, but I want to give the advantage to the people who should have gotten it otherwise. Here, the RE malfunction rate, that gets him in a position where he can go up into this. Another IP over here, a couple more here. So we're looking at like 5 IPs being handed out this turn. These guys just make it up there. Now this is, they've got 6 out of 7. I gotta also look at that because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7. I don't know. We'll see. The second decade of this century. Gonna pause. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do another rant thing. My mind, yeah, my emotional state kind of demands it, and somebody responded or emailed me, PM'd me on BGG about something, and I feel like I probably should address it. Yeah, here it is, Tuesday, I guess about mid-afternoon. It's been a pretty day all day. I could have gone shopping, I guess, but I slept. But I am up more in the day, which is promising. The negative thing is, Raid is like, they threw an April Fool's, an April 1st like series of events that like are really enticing and require a lot of playtime. But I want to get a little bit in at least. Life is not going well. My dad is pretty much going into like just sort of comfort care, they call it, which means he's done fighting, which I understand, but I don't know what to do about it. You know, it means one way or another I have to make some significant decisions and take some sort of action, which I don't want to deal with. Let's see what we got for this one. Draw trade goods. So like I said, I'm not going to go with the generic sort of trade situation. I'm going to keep playing with the rules as written. You know, I think there's something to be had there, but I think it takes more significant modifications than I suggested. Especially if you're playing with these damn directives. And I think the directives are cool. They give you this kind of, they give you direction. and I like that. I like having something to help guide my actions, you know, to some level, so that, and that's especially the case in solo play where, you know, something from outside my own mind lets me, it gives me an additional reason to do whatever things I want to do in the game instead of just trying to collect up my victory points. But it means that I will have this massive clutter on the board, which I don't like at all. Now, where am I? I am on draw trade goods. Okay. There's a number of people who have cards that affect this. But, yeah, we'll take care of it. The issues with the trade goods. You know, I throw them in a bag and I take the demand markers out at the same time, you know, and I use the bag that I'm using for them. And I thought about, I could, you know, create a cup or create a dedicated bag to them, although I don't know if I have another dedicated bag that I could use. But there's actually a problem with that, which is when you draw these demand markers, you kind of have to know what's on the trade markers to be able to decide which of the demands to pick sometimes. Like, you need to know their values or whatever. And what you can produce nearby and stuff like that. Which means, and one could of course create, maybe there is one, I'm often bad at looking now. One could create a little reference table that lists all the trade goods and all the information, you know, that's common to each good, which would be helpful. A little card like that would be helpful. But without that, you have to kind of be able to paw through them to get the information you need to make the decision on what demand you're picking. Look up the limits of what can be placed on a base for trade goods with the givers, because they pulled this AD. The only place I can place it is here, but there's already a good there. And it's a size 1 base, so I kind of knew that I couldn't hold a lot of goods there. I got to be careful. It's not what I thought. I thought you could hold a number of goods equal to the size of the population. It's not the case. So I got to look around, because I got some places where there may be a decent amount of trade goods in one place. Yeah, I don't see anything that's dangerous. So you can place a number of trade goods equal to what's listed on the chart, but the base can hold double that, so I can actually produce this. Now, if I couldn't produce it, I could spend $1, right? This is generated from the flora production there. It didn't just happen. It happened back in the base production, which was like the last turn. I'm not sure I want to place here, do I? Yeah, it's my ship's going in there. Okay. So I placed them. This time, any resources people couldn't produce, they got an extra $1 for, which they didn't the first time it showed up. I don't know if I did it right the second time. I do know that I had some of these bases overloaded with goods at one point or another. I remember there being like 3 goods at one of these. None of them can hold 3. They're tiny. And none of them can produce 2. So yeah, I gotta actually consider this. Where I could only produce 1 here. I just produced 2. I think I got everything else okay. This one though I can produce here, and that's just like it's a cash reserve if nothing else. So at least there's that. I don't know how much more I can do. My mind is not holding up well, but I'll do the transfer markers we'll see if I can do the build and repair ships. I don't know. So finding something kind of funny as I'm doing repairs and whatnot. Choosing not to do this repair could get cheaper. But with the consortium here, they sent this ship out from here because there was no planet there. And there's no guarantee they'd find one, but they found one the turn I left, it seems. Praetorians, they were considering launching themselves one of these robotic explorers coming from here because it could expand more quickly. But there's enemy ships there, and unlike Earth, there's no special protection. It's kind of weird. It's like, I don't understand it exactly. But yeah, whatever allows the robotics to escape from Earth, and I think it's more of a balance and gameplay type thing to prevent the early game from really like cluster-fucking people than anything that has any. I mean, maybe you can come up with some hand-wavy explanation, but why would it be okay to attack a CV but not an RE? The turn in REs actually, I just think can't be attacked on Earth. I don't know why you transit to there, except that it's a safe place. Almost nothing was built. This RE was built. It's safe coming from here, and it's heading to Sirius, so that's cool. People basically just don't have much cash, even with the influx of the trade goods and whatnot. It's too hard to come up with enough money to do anything that seems worthwhile. That's going to put us to the combat phase. Yeah, I need to get away. I'm sorry. We are coming on 2 a.m. and Wednesday. That raid event was a lot more demanding than I thought. I ended up taking a nap at some point or another. I don't know when. Probably around. I had a few hours of sleep sometime when it was dark, you know. I got as far as I possibly could in it, and that's cool. And now I guess I'm up to finding myself combats here. Watch the board scans to find out, hey, can I attack anywhere? And this would be way easier playing as a single player, you know, in an opposed game. They're getting really hefty, you know, so I have to kind of scan the whole area that's under activity and try to find the colors, the flags, whatever, of the ships. But then I gotta go back and check the bases. All kind of goofy because there's sort of this default of, yeah, I don't know, I'm the transhumanist right now. That's what I'm looking at. And I find their ships, none of their ships are even able to fight. But they have a base here. This is their only base. And it's got a couple of combat opportunities. I don't feel like it's worth launching a ground attack that's unsupported against a near-size base. Like, if you can wipe somebody off your system, there might be something cool about that. There might not. It doesn't really help you, right? It costs you something, probably because of the escalations, because of possible damage, whatever, to maybe hurt somebody a little bit more. But, okay, that's all right. But the default is kind of yeah, I don't know. This isn't really a combat game, right? For all the ships that have war factors and everything, and neither was the original. But combat is an option. It's just not, you know, one that's going to win you the game in general. It just might help you a little bit. Somebody's got a flag. Okay, the consortium hit the true path there. Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind, because that reduces the cost for the true path to hit them back. And then if they hit the consortium gets a flag too. So it's like they're now in a state of war. I like this mechanism for handling war. I actually like the two-turn thing. I just wish, because I'm not always clever enough to come up with the mnemonic device to remind me of what's going on. I wish they were like, yeah, use flags to indicate that you're at war, or that you conducted, that you were attacked by that person the turn earlier. Yeah, to swap pipes. But I did one. Like Praetorians aren't seeing an advantage to launching an attack. You know, I could do a supported attack or something like that, or I could attack his spaceships. First of all, not that into trying to wipe out the Starfarer, trying to make them further back. I think they're far enough back that they're not a challenge to anyone. And there's not really a lot of competition. While your own base is maybe limited to how many people you can... No, not really. Yeah, I mean, the system is limited to how many people it can support from each faction, though. So that's the one place where there's sort of competition. So this can hold, but it's not really, right? Like this can hold a total of 20 people. First of all, we're nowhere near that. But it also holds a total of 20 people from one side, if I understand correctly. Well, no. It's not even that. It only grows. It's not allowed to grow once it's over that size. You can keep depositing people there. So it's not like you're competing for resources with other players in any given system. That's something that I feel is a little funky. Like, I feel like a system should be able to support a total number of people and then not grow. And that would enhance, let me just make sure. The population limit is the sum of the system's world population. Subtract 10 for every other player with a base in the system. Oh, no. I missed that. Okay, so there is a reason not to have lots of people in the system. Okay, so just the existence of another player there. So right now, this is a 20 minus 10. This will only grow at 10 or less. Well, it will only grow up to 10, assuming that nobody finds a better planet there or something. So yeah, there is a significant impact. Now, here, we have a lot of people here, and I didn't really take this into account. 18, well, the biggest is a 7, but there's 2 people there, but this can hold 16, 21 with that minus 20. But it does make a populated system less attractive to move into. Okay. I think that works. Like, there's a reason not to let other people have bases in your area. And I think that's important. I think that's very important. Oh, where am I? Yeah, even the Praetorians don't want to attack. I'm pretty sure these fuckers do not want to, even though, you know, yeah, I'm at even against the enemy. Or I could, oh, these aren't Praetorians. Oh, that's interesting. I could deal the Praetorians a nasty if I wanted to. Except I'm the Admiral, right? No, I'm the Chancellor. This guy's the Admiral. That's real interesting. What's interesting is this Admiral chit here, which I wanted to make sure we read the same way I thought it did. Gives you +2 to the combat rolls. Great. I mean, you know, makes you better at battle. It makes you probably not get attacked. Because it's all combat rolls. Even applies to like ground combat and stuff. But can only attack players who have more escalation. Which means, yes, I can attack the consortium right now, but if I start winning the war against them, or if they kind of stop fighting back, and therefore I don't have a chit there, well, no, that doesn't matter. Whether they fight back or not. If I'm in a position where I build up more escalation than them, I'm not able to prosecute that war to its completion. I'm just not willing to, right? Like, now I could discard the directive and not take my bonuses and finish them off. But it's a weird situation, hard to kind of visualize. Like, I can get why there's a limitation on, why it would make sense that like you're bonused on a defensive war, but man, it's really hard to understand a human psychology that would be like, desecrated some of my worlds, and now I've gone ape shit on you, and I'm really beating you, and you're not able to fight back, really. You're not able to launch attacks, so I don't get one of these flags or whatever. That's fine. That doesn't matter. But because I'm attacking more than you are, I'm collecting more escalation than you are, and now we're ready. We're ready for a settled peace. I guess, the same sort of peaceful intention that doesn't allow you to just launch a strike also puts you in a position where, like, we want peace. We want peace at almost any cost beyond a certain point. I like to play ideas like that through my head. Plus, I'm running a different idea through my head that has to do with my personal life, and I'm like, I have to think real hard about this. Do I want to schwack that? I could also just raid it, which is cheaper. If we do a raid, like a raid gives us something, maybe, like resources. Resources that we're going to want to pick up anyway. I don't know. Why don't we try a raid? Okay. So we choose one undamaged CV. I guess as long as we have shipping capability, we can take stuff on. So we'll take the, I don't know. Doesn't really matter which one we hit with. Let's hit with the with this one instead, just in case we get hurt. And we get 94, which is safe, a 6 here. Steal a random tech marker from the player. There isn't really a choice there. I'll roll a die rather than try to shuffle them up in some sort of pool. So I get this one. However, I did commit an act of aggression. All right. It's a raid with an effect, so +1. And that's it. So he gets another IP. Oh, Jesus. Let me just give him one now, and I'll figure out his change later. He gets an IP. We get an escalation. Which is, that's our last attack. And until we lose it. And we give the Praetorians a little flag, which means they won't gain escalation. That may have been a really dangerous idea, because they're sending a fleet in. Oops. Okay. And we know they're violent, but maybe they don't hate us that much. And that's that for them. Onward. The end of combat. This guy actually has a can't attack as well, so kind of nice. I was able to skip one of the people who's kind of started stuff and put me on cargo transport and trade. I'm going to have to stop for a bit. I have to resolve what I need to write here. All right, I handled that at the very least. As long as all I have to do is write something on the computer, I'm okay. All right, I'm going to go on with the cargo transfer. That's all I'm going to be able to do before I have to change tea and whatever, and probably play my other game. Raid, I've thrown a lot of resources into Raid that in all that time, but I need to be away more. Moving to colonize Sirius, which I've been exploring. I've been sending ships here because I have a directive that says that, but obviously somebody completed one here, and I think it had to be me, the true path. This is a matter of not remembering the directive as I'm doing the exploration. I'm pretty sure I was the only person there, so I'm gonna give him that directive, which is complete a survey at Sirius. He gets 2 points for that. I don't know what he cares about. Look that up. Okay, he doesn't really care about that, but that's going to give him another draw of 2 more of these. Now, my directives, yeah, they got to go in the big bag. 2 that look hard. Trade at Epsilon Eridani and at Bernard Star, which is up here. Both fairly far away. Can I do these? Maybe. You know, right now they have ore as a requirement. That's not something I can even produce. I don't know, maybe I can here. I don't. I think I'm gonna pick one of these and throw it back in, or throw the other one back in, and then pay an IP to do a redraw. One that I could do, sell a bunch of trade goods at Earth, but I got one that matches my requirements of production or terraform, which I really want to do, earn 9 billion cash from base production. I don't know how likely I am to do that right now. Let's see what we got here. These are not terribly rich, and base production just happened, but it seems easier to manage than coming up with trade goods and hauling them to Earth. Unless I had them sitting on there, it's impossible for Earth to produce anything that it wants. Unlike every other planet can get a demand that is just at random. That's one of the things that kind of bothers me. Although I could see the the argument in some sense or another. The anomalies pile is getting relatively small. I'm going to still put it back in the bag because I'm going to need it more often. And I took care of the movement as I was doing the cargo. It's almost impossible to like figure out. Yeah, you know, basically I figure out, hey, what do I want to do? You know, what do I want to pick up, drop off, whatever. And then the question of, and then what comes almost immediately after. So I just did that. Even though, so this is kind of fucked up because cargo transfer and trade is done in initiative order. Movement is done in reverse initiative order. I could see people, you know, wanting to know what somebody else did and everything. It makes perfect sense in terms of, you know, making decisions in play order and everything. The thing is, the only reason cargo transfer and trade is in movement order is so that you get to get the demand marker early. So I should actually do this in reverse order, but like do a quick look to see if anybody has anything to sell. Nobody had anything to sell, and I ended up doing the movement in initiative order, which is just a bad choice. So I think that's what I'm going to do from now on is try to remember I do the cargo transfer and trade. I only do the am I selling products anywhere. And then after I do that, everything else gets decided in the reverse initiative order. Because what you want to pick up, what you want to take somewhere, what you want to drop off colony-wise and everything, all of that is really kind of based on what are you doing with your ships next. Sure. Well, no. Selling might. It clears your ship out, but you'd be making another check. All right. I'm going to pause there. I know I'm not playing very hard. it's hard for me to stay up here, but also I have the tea to deal with. Nothing interesting found, nothing interesting done. A little bit of damage, a little bit of, tech markers. That puts us to the developed techs. And again, I come up here, I play for a couple minutes, and I'm like, I'm too fucking stressed. I'm sorry. But at least I'm still kind of pushing through. On 9 a.m., I guess I wasted like 2 hours lying in bed listening to video. Maybe dozed off a tiny bit, not much. Made breakfast, some coffee. We'll see if I can stay up later than I did yesterday. I went to sleep around 11 a.m. or something. Tomorrow's supposed to be pretty. Look, it's supposed to be dry mostly until sometime in the PM, and if that's like yesterday, it means until pretty late, but I don't know. I had no idea how pretty it was going to be yesterday. All right, let's do some tech. And yeah, I'm sorry about how this is going. I'm just having too much trouble playing, too much trouble doing anything really. This is what happens to me when I get into these kind of states of like, wow, there's an impending like action that I have to take or whatever, is that I just go into this position where I'm as frozen as ever, but not even capable of being at all, contented enough to do stuff. And then I don't know, maybe somebody rescues me. That's happened at times. Maybe I figure it out on my own and rescue myself. Maybe I just, as with the most recent, situation that was like this after my wife died, at least I think it was. I don't think I felt this way after I lost my job. Is I just sort of drift further into my normal malaise. The problem is I know at least someone, and I think it's the true path here, is heading somewhere where they have to pick a certain tack. They don't have to do it this next turn. They got 2 turns to do it, but they got to get the Settlity system, because they're sending colonists to a place that they can't live. Doing the tech, I got to remember one thing. This guy's got to lose his little marker here, because he was not attacked this turn. So whatever Casus Belli or whatever he had is gone now. The givers, even though they don't have any cards they particularly want, we don't really care about them. They went in ahead and bought a cheap tech. Okay, fine, whatever. Why? I don't know. I don't honestly know. But then I get to the syndicate, and they're in an interesting position, which is lots of cards they don't particularly want. Now let me look. They're allowed Fleet 2 improvements. They're not allowed genetic improvements. They have basically no biology. They have tons of physics and engineering tech. If I held off and dumped my cards, I might get some interesting options. Right now I don't have many interesting options. I could go into here at a kind of higher price than I like. It's a good tech, and I'm just hoping it's good enough that other people go for it, right? I've got this, I've got that. This one, again, same situation. It's expensive. A lot of people could go for it. I don't particularly want to pay the higher price. And I don't know that I really need the CV5s all that much. Right now, I have no money. Of course, that could change with the flip of a chit, but I don't mind, wasting 1 turn. And then the other is I could get an influence point by going up here, getting the RE movement bonus, which holds my cards. And that, like I said, is not particularly something I want to do. So I think I'm going to pass, even though I have a shit ton of tech resources. Not a whole bunch of excitement happening. Let's see, we got somebody new who came out. He picked up this miniaturized fusion rockets, getting an IP for that. He just collects up IP. I still haven't made change for the guy who has a 25 sitting over there. Others, we have people catching up on cheap techs, with three removals. That gets me down to that $5 minimum, and gets terraforming, which, the chip pool is open. Up here, he bought the second person to get into the CV5 race. He only has one. It's a hell of a big warship with some carrying capacity, some science, whatever. It's a good ship. And, once I have money, it'll be great to have it. We have a couple people, though, who moved up to be the last person to get something. The transhumanists actually paid a couple of bucks. It was so lousy for whatever they went in for. They went in for this one. It only cost $5. They had like 3 engineering. But I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't want to get rid of my cards. I've picked a Fleet 2 card, actually, because I'm expecting to get there sometime soon. Plus, I have so many cards that I bought. Being the transhumanists, the bio is cheaper, so, But yeah, and let me just fix that, and let me get to that. God, I'm hoarding these IPs. They're not worth that much in victory points. But then again, victory points are pretty damn valuable. Let me... Oh, somewhere there's a victory point. See, the biggie is, I think, getting to tech for them. But I'm not sure where victory points are. I thought they were over here. Not in the optional rules, I'll tell you that. Oh, I didn't like the sound of that. Something hitting the glass, which... It wasn't as the heavy thump of a bird, so I don't know. Maybe it was just like... but anyway, I found the victory point chart. IPs are 1 for every 2. So it's probably worth it to cash these in, but they are worth cashing in for these suckers, where they kind of double their value, plus they give you play effects, etc. So I kind of want to hold a bunch of them, but if I don't have tech and there's something I really want, I got enough influence I can just pick it up, which is something to consider. And I think that's maybe the way you get these cards, because they're just so expensive. There may not be enough tech markers in a 7-player game to be able to afford that. I gave him his IP. It's time... Let's move this forward. It's time to see what the next turn is. It's Earth production. Earth production is pretty boring, but we are in a new century, so we get slightly larger amounts now. And everybody's flush with resources. The Earth production is huge because you get a wad of cash and some tech markers. With the base production, it's like, I really want the tech markers, damn it. So you don't generally end up with a whole lot of cash. You can choose to take cash, but, it also isn't what Earth produces. And then a whole bunch of ships arrived. We're on the build and repair ships. Do I do this? I don't know. Like, I feel so emotionally I feel perfectly capable of it. Physically and mentally I feel very fatigued. Let's go ahead though. Third shift, right? Before I was physically and mentally capable of physically and mentally capable of handling things and emotionally not. Now I'm very tired, and when I'm very tired, my personality shifts. Like there's this major change in who I am. I end up, it's kind of funny. I end up more sociable too, and more able to connect with people. So like, the only way that like I end up, kind of making real connections with people is either I'm really, really tired or drunk. Well, a whole bunch of stuff was built at Earth. Some of it is, look, some of these players can't attack, like this guy. Probably don't want to attack like the Praetorians with a -2 to their combat rolls. They kind of make targets because of that. The Syndicate could. They had 3, 4, 5 ships. They're the ones who chose not to go in because they didn't have any warships of any size. But a lot of players just put warships in here. The True Path, for example, put 2 ships in, one to carry the Pilgrim here, and then the Oathkeeper here to help protect it. I would have liked to have put a bigger carrier in or have more military or something, but you don't have that kind of flexibility. You have like a limited number of choices of ships. I think that was big enough. I'm gonna pause for a bit. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay awake. I feel so fucking tired now. Yeah, both the ferries and the cobs are out today. I saw a cob, one of the light ones, out of the corner of my eye, and obviously, it's getting warm enough that the ferries are hatching. And when I'm low on sleep, there's a certain manic energy in there, and I don't know if I'm trying to force myself, but I put some laundry in, which kind of means I have to stay awake a little bit longer, or else it'll get cold and wet in the washing machine. And I kind of like taking it out of the dryer right away when it's done. Not doing anything valuable or useful other than that, but it's I can feel that sort of weird energy going on. That if I had to do other sorts of things, like I've had to work sometimes when I'm overtired like this, when I can't sleep at night, or I have to, almost invariably, if I have an appointment or something to go to, I end up not sleeping before it, or a trip or anything like that. It creates interesting opportunities. I used to play with sleep and depriving myself for this feeling or other feelings, as well as oversleeping, which, anyway. Given that I'm up anyway, let's do the combat. Way through the first few players, they chose not to do combat, but this is the moment where I should be removing this chip. So the Starfarers have opportunity, and they could actually launch an attack, but it would be a horribly stupid idea, even with that minus. So we're going to give that up. Wrong. It shouldn't have happened on the Starfarers' turn. It should have happened back on the Praetorians' turn. They had the option, but they're not allowed to attack, so they lose it there. Just got to remember, how to use the mnemonic devices that I'm creating. Working my way through. I come across these guys and I'm like, oh, do they want to attack? No, they don't. But that's not the issue. I start thinking about, wait a minute, what about the colony growth thing? This is written as a big wall of text. You know what I'd like? I'd like the whole formula present, set aside in the midst of this. And I feel like that's something that's missing here. It does two things. Putting a mathematical formula in the middle of a block of text or whatever like this. One, it separates things out. Makes it easier, unlike pictures for me, which don't, but I could see how they help other people. It separates out the text, creates some white space around the formula to highlight it, whatever. The other thing it does, which is much more important, is I don't have to read through this whole thing to find out this like subtract 10 for every other player with a base in the system type of thing, right? I'm thinking here of stuff like the SPI rules, which I've always looked at as very well done, if not among the best in class for how they're organized and presented. And I think about something that I did relatively recently of theirs, which was Wellington's Victory. He's kicking over there. It's not showing up because it's on the side. At the bottom of the box doesn't have the name on it, and it just happens to be in the place where I have box bottoms instead of sides showing, which works fine for most modern companies, but it does not work for those TSR SPI games. I think, yeah, the original SPI games had that. Avalon Hill and the TSR ones, for whatever reason, they chose not to put the name of the game on every side of the box, which is unpleasant, because I like to see all the names out, no matter how I have it tilted. But anyway, beyond that, that has the old SPI rules in it. And I'm just thinking things like, the line of sight formula. Look, I have my disagreements with the way it's handled mechanically in the game and whether or not it's accurate. And I think it works for that particular scenario, but wouldn't work everywhere. But the actual formula is just like there in a space on its own, in a nice little set aside area. Again, provides the white space and gives me the information I need without having to read through everything. If I don't get the formula, then I can read through it and try to find where the parts I don't get are. But I shouldn't have to construct the formula in my head. I see one combat. The givers are going to give this RE its death because that's just fucking asking for it. I don't know what it's doing there. It is destroyed. That will create an IP. It'll create an IP for him. Because it's a combat, but it doesn't follow any of the other things that generate a combat. And I get a mechanical marker for the ship itself. And it will create an escalation and an attack, which was the givers. And I put that little attack chit here. That's okay, he can't attack anyway, so too bad for him. He's a sitting duck to whatever I want to do. And then I get an escalation which says settlements cost an extra $1 billion on Earth, which sucks because I'm planning on buying one, but I can always throw some trade goods in if I don't have enough money, but I have shit tons of money still. Puts me to the cargo transfer and trade. Now, what was I going to do? I was going to do the trade side of it in initiative order, and then the cargo transfer down with the movement in reverse initiative order. I think my laundry is ready to be dealt with, though. It's draining and getting ready to go into spin cycle. I did get a chance to refill my pipe, though, but what I was saying about that energy from being tired, it doesn't always or maybe even usually happen. It's kind of a weird situation because, I've been up here a fair amount of times where I'm like, I'm just too tired to do anything. I know I'm fatigued. I feel that. But I also feel this sort of weird manic energy. This is the state in which I can get things done sometimes, like things that I don't want to face. Well, I can do it when when drunk as well. Again, it's like I become more like a human and less whatever it is that I am when I'm and this may be worth a video about, but I've been making so fucking many because I'm so stressed. Anyway, onward and upward. Excelsior. We get to the actual movement when I buy colonists and pick them up and move them around. I notice an interesting situation. The givers, their directive is to sell rare materials on Earth. They have a rare materials here. Now, I could just send somebody there, you know, to pick that up. They got a tiny little colony there. But instead, I'm going to send another colonist over. You know, and do what I can do there. Yeah. I think it was done. It just had the little light for spin cycle still on. Yep. You know, it could be the coffee that charges me up too. I don't usually have coffee in the morning when I'm like trying to go to sleep. And I'm actually not trying to go to sleep right now. So it could be, you know, I'm always drinking tea, but the tea doesn't hit me the same way. I just finished, I got about a half pot that I allow myself nowadays. Because even that impacts me and causes problems, but I don't know. Anyway, let's, how far have I gotten? This is in reverse order, so yeah, not very far. This additional check here, in this case for cargo transport movement, I'm like, wait a minute, why is this damaged? Why did I allow this to stay there? That'll be destroyed if it takes another hit. He doesn't have an extra hit point or anything like that. So I'm spending the $3 to repair this. It should have happened at an earlier point, but you know, sometimes I just have to do shit like that. Or else I can't keep, you know, everything. I can't keep up with everything, basically. Orions, the ship that they had near this, wasn't strong enough to deal with this anomaly, as I search for words. But if I send a ship here to colonize this, a ship here, maybe to drop off a colony there or not, they're both arriving in 2 turns, and then they can shift there, because he's got the 2 turns, because I've got one of the 2 players with decent speed. And after movement, this is kind of what things look like. Everybody clustering there for some reason. Exploration happening in some kind of, I don't know, this one is especially iffy, but the problem is he was coming from Earth and he had nowhere he could go as quickly that was safe, because there's military ships all over the place. I guess he could go up here, that would be equally safe, but this is completely unexplored. That gives me kind of best chances, whatever, because this number's high, although, you know, a +2 there is possible or whatever. But that's nowhere near where my bases are. We did establish a base here before we headed off into here. Why didn't we haul our base there? I don't know. Because we wanted our hauler to go back to Earth and pick up more colonists. That's why. Got another big hauler there. I'm gonna stop there for a little bit. I'm definitely feeling the fog of fatigue here. Well, it's creeping up on 3 p.m. It's been a perfectly pretty day. I certainly could have gone shopping today. I've been awake enough, you know. Yeah, I napped a little bit, but I could have gone, especially with the hyperactivity. But, you know, I gotta go get my laundry at some point. But, I mean, by tinkering with my sleeping schedule, I'm hoping I'm able to do it tomorrow. If I can't do it tomorrow, I'm kind of fucked. Because it's Wednesday right now. And yeah. All right, where am I? I'm on exploration. Cool, cool. Back when I missed the directive here, I can tell you why it is. It's because I'm not doing exploration in like initiative order or anything, so I'm not looking at any given player. I'm doing it in hex order, and so I'm like, oh, found stuff, found stuff, found stuff, and I forget about, you know, it's weird because I think I'd remember this one, but I thought I would remember Sirius as well. Too exciting, a new planet here, a nice big meaty one. There is one place where I can think that it really kind of matters. So exploration is simultaneous initiative for surveys. If I start getting low, well, okay, first of all, there's possibility of buying these, which might be triggered by that. Maybe some shit with directives, but I don't think so. I think those all work okay. But the anomalies bag is not getting really low, but there will come a point when I may want to follow or I may need to follow the actual order, just because the last anomaly might get drawn by someone, and it should be drawn in initiative order rather than in this positional order. Let me go get my laundry, then I'll come back up and develop tech. Tech expenditure for the givers. They spent 20 points getting the Explorers Guild, 2 dice for CV exploration. Choose which one to use, plus 5% chance of finding anomalies. Feels really nice, as long as it's with CVs. But I also bought what's going to give me an IP here, better malfunction rate on the CVs, another +1 on the exploration. And that's a big deal. So far, I haven't gotten anybody who's drawn 2 chits yet. There aren't a lot of rolls that I get that. I think the best I've got out there is like, an 11. So I don't think I've broken 11 yet. And I haven't gotten that 1 in 10. Big buy for the Syndicate. They bought self-repair systems for 20. This would have been my alternative. Bases produce 2 billion when producing cash. That, I still have a lot of engineering, which is what I spent on that. Go take another fleet too. Okay. Whatever. But in addition to that, that was my engineering choice. I picked this thing up, the CV movement modifier. That cost a pile. 19, but I have 3 off from a card, so only 16 physics, and I still have a pile of physics left. There's a lot of tech points available for everyone. And then I figured, let's get the terraforming since that's not out yet, and we'd like to be able to get to the level 2 genetic modifications. I think I have a level 2 card in hand. You're allowed to collect the cards even if you can't buy them. All right, a fair number of players bought a decent amount of tech. Let me just go over what was bought without really worrying about that aspect, without trying to link it, but you'll see the same colors coming up. So here, yellow moved in for this CV malfunction down to 18%. That's almost everybody's got it. No one else bought any engineering, in part because this is just so high. There's like the hope that somebody brings it down or whatever. The transhumanists would have really liked it, but they had no mech at all. Over here, the Reds, okay, they went for terraforming a whole bunch of people. Everybody's going to be cleared out on terraforming, but they went for the ramjets to get faster ships. For the CVs. Up here, blue finally caught up with this. Now, I caught myself cheating. I know I fixed other cheating. I'm not going to fix this because blue is doing so poorly and I hate it. They sent this ship out there. Would they have had the points for a turn earlier or whatever? I don't know. I really don't know. I think so. And that's going to put everybody to the CV range of 2, which I just thought everybody had it, honestly. They've been holding back. Over here, we got a couple of new ones going to the interstellar logistics, which is just less CV malfunction, CV exploration bonus, plowing their way forward into that. I don't know how much it really helps. It just keeps going there. During the build phase, you can buy settlements for 5 billion each at your bases. That's interesting. That's really expensive though. Bunch of people going into the settlement E system, most notably yellow. They had chosen this and then realized, wait a minute, I gotta settle this system next turn, so let's make sure we get that. That was one of my reminders. And that's about it. Just, you know, a bunch of people hitting certain things. No other cards went that I didn't point out. That's gonna end the turn, and I'll do the pre-turn setup. I'm kind of tired now. Funny, these guys jumped out to the real lead, grabbing a couple of the, you know, last in the system, or last to get a successful survey in a system. And since then, they haven't been getting them. Now, they did some other stuff, which allowed other people to kind of catch up a little bit. I think, you know, we got one there, one here. But yeah, apparently this was a pretty big jump because, you know, I'm kind of working on my own in these two systems, but nothing is really nothing's really showing. You know, they're not getting the successes that they were before or whatever, and kind of thinking maybe I should have gotten the Warlord thing. What is that? +1 to combat rolls. That's pretty minor for something that I can't have more of those for. These are kind of nice because they basically give you, you know, if we look, these are like 10 IP, 8 IP. So they give you pretty much at least double your victory points by spending your IP. And victory points are hard to come by in this game. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like, I don't want to really spend IP. Yeah. And gotta put those away. This is what the world looks like now. Problem I have with the game is that even though it has a physical map and there's stuff going on it and everything, it's starting to get so confused, you know, so cluttered with information of various types that it's hard for me to picture the kind of stuff that I like to picture when I'm looking at a map. You know, like, and the other thing is, what's got sort of the most prominence, not the things you own, the bases, the settlements and whatnot, rather the ships do. The ships have the prominence. And, you know, they're transient, whereas the bases are somewhat more permanent. And you know, when I start thinking about a map type situation and, you know, who possesses what and everything, that's what I want to jump out at me. Even though for gameplay, obviously the ships are the more important facet, but it's just like, it begins to disconnect the geographical map and the importance of that for me. Definitely should have gone shopping today. Oh, well. Let's see what we got. This one is base production. That's going to be a whole squad of tech for most players, I'm guessing. There might be some who really want to build another ship or something, so I'm going to have to do some thought on this. God, this is going to be painful. Because I got to do it system by system, but keep in mind what every player kind of desires. I work my way through the systems. I come to this one. This gets the extra floor production, but both these bases are as full as they can be. So each player gets just $1 now. No, they don't. There's a no base marker here. Had to look up what that does. I thought it just meant you couldn't create a new base. It's more restrictive, but they do still get to produce, I think. Let me just reread this. Means that the bases can't be built in the system and existing bases can't terraform, produce, sell, or receive goods. Yeah, so actually nothing happens there. That's kind of problematic. Yeah, somebody had better resolve that. Uh-oh. Didn't realize how impactful that is. That's actually both of these players' major base. So they really want to get it resolved, but neither one is working towards doing so. I may have cheated in putting stuff there before and just not noticing it. Here I get to the first of the true path, and he has a production which says earn 9 billion cash from base production. Going by the designer's no memory rule, I don't have to produce it all at one base, although I think it's his only base. So let's see what he could produce. He could get, I think, $4. Let's just see the chart. No, $5, which is not going to be enough to be worth it. So unless I really need money, I'm going to produce tech because it's just more valuable. And everyone took tech, so we got some big pools. Mainly it's physics tech that's being generated everywhere. For whatever reason. Am I missing something? Like an M planet. That's blue, right? See, it's hard for me to tell. Those look different. Let's look at them real close. Ah, yeah, that's green. I can't tell. So there are places where there's green tech available, but you know, I get a reduction in the amount of tech that I get from it, so it's like, I don't know about that. It's like, you know, and when we consider what you can do with the tech, things like the CV movement modifier, which is really, really important. Yes, there's some important tech in bio, but I don't feel like it's that expensive, right? I'm not that attracted to the biotech stuff. The engineering and the physics are the two that excite me the most in terms of what they produce. You know, the engineering allows me to get the bigger ships. The physics allows me to go faster and get better ranges. I do have to hit this to get to unlimited CV range. Otherwise, I'm limited to 2. But right now, 2 is good enough. And this is 20. Yeah, that's kind of painful. And it's sort of on a path that people are not really following that well. That's going to put me to the transfer markers. Some stuff arrived. It's hard to keep track of what. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm really glad that, and I don't remember the name of these anymore, that these little number counters with 8 numbers on a counter. I knew the name not long ago, like, right? I remember using it. Which are kind of like little dials. I'm glad there's only one of them per ship. Like, there would be options to have the same kind of counters for settlements or something like that. Boy, would that annoy me. Boy, would that be horrible if there were like multiple versions of them. And I've seen games where there are, like maybe, you know, a hits and a morale marker or something like that, both of which use those counters. There should never be more than one on any given thing. That's going to get me to the build and repair ships. I guess I can do that. Painful. I have, like, here with the givers, I have a shit ton of money, right? Enough that I could build this ship, a nice big hauler, and load it up with settlements, although settlements are expensive right now. But I'm at my 6 ship limit, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've got like this ship, which I could just destroy. But I hate the idea of doing that, or this one. But this one's a little bit, well, I don't know. I don't know which one's better, you know. But if I'm going into combat, which is possible. But if I get this back to Earth, I get half its value back, which is kind of nice, you know. Yeah, it's not a lot of money, but I could haul some fine art that Earth wants back to it, and then destroy the ship and build something a little bigger. Because, you know, when I'm at my limit, I can't build more ships, but like, I'm also wasting time by having this ship out there. I don't know. Who has a really hard time getting rid of things that, like, you know, I mean, it can provide me some use. Worst comes to worst, it can do research and whatnot. But I think I actually paid to repair it. I know I paid to repair something, and I don't know what it was. It may have been this guy. And I may be better off just letting it get destroyed. If it's destroyed, then I get a bio and an engineering chit, which is worth more than the ship, the refund value for the ship, in some ways. You can't convert these into money. You can convert money into research. But well, whatever. Have room for an extra ship here on the Syndicate. They're picking very early because it's reverse order, right? But if I look at everybody else, these two guys aren't allowed to attack. There's nothing on Earth right now. And I look at the other ships that could be built. Nothing that I have to worry about, plus he's gone. Nothing I need to worry about. Not much. This is the only ship that I'm vaguely worried about. And I could build something that's just as good combat-wise, or something that's almost as good and is heavier. And so by looking at the other people's ships available, I feel pretty safe. And they may feel safe too, even after seeing that I'm building. I would have been even happier had I studied the board as a whole and noticed that almost everybody's at their ship maximum. Remember, a lot of people built ships at Earth last turn. So yeah, being at ship's maximum doesn't make you absolutely safe. Somebody could certainly destroy like an RE or something just for the sake of it. They're not that expensive, but it's also like, again, I have sort of this simple heuristic. And so when I run through each player, I'm like, yeah, I got all my ships out. That's cool. One's sure to die. The REs especially, you know, they have a better malfunction rate than the CVs do, but they can only take one hit. And, you know, it's like, well, I might as well get my exploration out of it. It's traveled a ways, you know. I don't want to waste money. I just looked and there's no ship combat available. But then I forget, yeah, I got to deal with the bases too. And that's especially important because like raiding is kind of a cool technique. It doesn't cost you a lot of escalation in me. It's something that gets you something which ship combat kind of doesn't. But as I was looking for ship combat, I was thinking, I could put like a big die or something in each system where conflict's possible. So that I could actually do combat across the board in initiative order without having the same issues in play. I can get rid of this. He's not even allowed to attack, so let's just get rid of this complication before anything happens. Looking at the bases, the only place where I'm really tempted to do a base you know, not thinking about ships. By the way, this got built here, which is cool. Except that's the wrong player. Fuck. He's not allowed to build there. Oops. This seemed so cool, but I'm always getting these two colors mixed up. All right, well, let's just put it there. I forget about, oh, there might be ships in a place where bases exist, which changes the dynamic a little bit. I don't see any. It's so hard to assess all this information on the board. And again, I think it got kind of complex really late in the game, in the first version of this, or in the solar system game that Stellar Horizons 1, whatever. But in this one, I'm just having so much difficulty assessing everything on the board very easily. And, you know, it's not a linear board. The hexes are more crowded than most of the planets were. And it just ends up with this kind of painful situation. I don't think I'm ready to do the cargo and movement right now. Kind of want to lay down, but I haven't folded my laundry yet. It's kind of cool because I did like a relatively small load. Usually I let it go too long. And, you know, about 2:30. Oh, I got a nice decent sized nap in and got all my raid done. I mean, that doesn't mean I won't have any more to play over time, you know, over the next few hours or whatever. But it does mean if I can get back to sleep at some point before like 6 or 7 a.m., I'll be able to get enough sleep in and be up early enough to get everything taken care of shopping-wise and all that. So we're in the cargo transfer phase. If I recall correctly, I was going to do selling first and then a combination of cargo transfer movement and try to get into that house. The selling part, rather than going in strict initiative order, I think it makes the most sense, although this might cause some perturbations in, like, you know, the demands pool contents or whatever. I think it makes the most sense to work my way down, look at each location, see if anything can be sold at that location, and then resolve that location in initiative order. And I think there's nothing, to tell you the truth. I've actually looked this over. The weird thing is stuff can arrive that does in-system transport with the base rules, you know, and you just get the money for having pulled the right goods at that base, but who cares, you know? Okay, which means then I'm in that combination of cargo transfer and movement. Now this is a little fucked up. So I get to the givers who are the first on the chart, and they have a fine art here at the base. Now that base can only hold 2 materials. If a trade goods material comes up, which it can't, but if it does, it would behoove me to have this on board one of these ships, even if the ship isn't moving. I'm a little weirded out about the Earth trade goods box. The way it says max storage 10, 12 anywhere after assignment. If that includes on ships, it's going to be too big a hassle, and I think there's enough problems with carrying goods on ships. But yeah. Now, the thing is, I got nowhere that really wants the fine art except back at Earth, and I want these ships doing stuff here. So I don't know which ship I want it on, right? Like this ship, I might want to go back to Earth to pick up lots of settlers. This ship, though, if I don't have a lot of settlers to build, might want to go back. I'm going to just put it on this one because it kind of doesn't matter, because I'll get to transfer the goods before I announce any movement. Additionally, putting it on the ship saves this base or protects this base from being raided. It makes it less appealing to raid the base. Not that that's really going to be an issue either. it kind of just doesn't matter where I put this thing. Notice something back in my repair phase. This ship, I didn't want to spend the money on the repairs, but I had bought this self-system repair, so this is gone. I may have spent $1 to repair a ship somewhere as well, but I don't know about that, so the hell with it. Noticed I caught myself cheating. When I placed this down, I did not notice that or something. That can't be there. You do redraw the tile, so it's okay that I didn't get anything there. So we'll just put this in place instead, which is a lot less attractive, but yeah. I worked my way up to the being able to settle on every system and everything over here so that I could settle when I landed there, which was this turn, and now I'm heading back to Earth. With this thing, if he's entering into an ugly situation because the build ships happens before combat, I can cannibalize that ship if it's flying into something that it looks like it's going to get eaten. It also isn't necessarily that good a ship. It's a nice heavy hauler, but it's only a CV3. Into movement, everything fled from here, this guy to there, this guy to there. But I left the base because, yeah. I mean, if he wants to attack the base, it sucks to be me. But it's like, I can't afford to keep trying to run away. Plus, my CV range is still only 2. The unlimited range is way out there. Promised rains yesterday. Yeah, they finally came after it was dark. I mean, look, if I had wanted to, I could have looked up on, you know, the weather app just tells me what the one that I have on my computer. It's a little gadget type thing. Tells me what the weather is going to be for the day in one kind of little thing, and it might. So what this said was PM showers or rain or something like that. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I was also very tired. If I was really kind of energetic and everything, I would have clicked on it and gone and looked at weather.com and seen that the rain's not supposed to start until after 5. I'm probably safe, you know. By the way, you know, this like this thing, the remove a damage from your CVs for free, that adds another layer of times I have to check everybody's cards. It's just, you know, when you have special abilities like that are all over the place, it becomes really, really difficult to cope with in a solo game. Probably not as bad. Like in an opposed game, I don't know if that would be something that would really hurt me. I might forget it every now and then, but probably not. It wouldn't be as likely, especially right after I bought it. Because when I play opposed, I'm probably not taking breaks several times during a turn, among other things. So the givers are really interesting here. I'm starting to calculate this out. So they've got 3, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's cool. Let's take a look. RE exploration. Well, I don't remember if I've got an RE, but I don't. CV exploration +1, +5% chance of finding anomalies. But I also have the explorer, which is another +2, not +2. Roll 2 dice for CV exploration. I don't have 2 dice here, so I'm going to have to go find me another die, I think, so that I can roll 4 dice together. Right now, I won't do that. And then they also have another +5% chance of finding anomalies with CVs. So what did I say it was? 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. With 2 dice, I get to choose which one I use. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a 10. It's automatic. And we do not get a hit. So we draw a biology marker. I just want to show this once, and I didn't find anything, so no anomaly bonus there. Everything that's searching here is a CV, so yeah, they're all going to go through that same kind of process. This one's more interesting. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. which means I roll 2 dice looking for a 1. I don't get it. Then I roll the damage check. I get that. I'm pretty sure. 18%. Right on the nose. I get a draw, and if I get a 5, okay, I get the 5, that's cool. So now my anomalies check, it's plus 10%, so I can still roll me a d10 instead of the percentile. And I don't get that. Really, I would actually be rolling the anomalies check after I draw the planet. The anomaly wouldn't take effect if I screw up time-wise or whatever, like it wouldn't prevent me from exploring. We ended up filling all the planet slots with some pretty big stuff. In addition, we did find an anomaly, which is dissidence. It's a 7-point military, which I should be able to handle very easily. Not this turn, but next. And it'll give me 3 settlers. In addition, habitability goes up for migration afterwards. So that's a pretty cool one. Unfortunately, I'm way at the edge of the map, so I can't keep using that base to explore from particularly. And at the end of exploration, we found a few more planets, an upgrade here with some damage. But nothing that really is, ground shaking, right? Finding stuff that's cool, it like means you can settle the area or whatever. So like this one, must have just gotten that, I think. I don't know, maybe not. I can't remember. So one of the problems is like unless I cover every single action, I won't remember. That gets me to buy tax. I'm a little worried a little too awake right now. Still have my other game I can go to, but a little bit of conservatism here. Green went ahead. Hey, people have the points to do things, but they're grabbing this up. That gets them towards the unlimited CV range, so that's kind of cool. But mainly they were doing it to grab an IP. This guy doing the same, grabbing an IP and getting that quick movement modifier. He had something else he was interested in, maybe getting up to the heavier ship or something, I'm not sure. When we got to the consortium, they had a particularly interesting card. Not this one. This one's one I want to discuss. Starport systems where you have a base with both demand markers instead of drawing 2 and picking 1. So that feels like it's only really good for the consortium. That's going to help them a lot because they're the ones most interested in trade, I think. I guess they draw 3 and choose 2. I don't know if they've ever been somebody who had to draw them. Again, remembering to look up, special abilities and everything is a pain in the ass. But by playing that, I got another card, and I grabbed a level 3, even though I'm kind of far from getting level 3. It's way out here. I'm like, well, I've got a couple of level 1, or I've got a level 1, I've got a couple of level 2s. Let's see what I can get off of a level 3. A level 1 might have been a better buy. But this is an interesting one, but it had a term I couldn't recall. Exploration bonus +1. Genetic manipulation costs 5 less. Reduce the difficulty of science anomalies and events by 3. So what is genetic manipulation? Well, I guessed, and I guessed correctly. It's genetic manipulations are the cards, I guess, for biotech points. I mean, this is the only place I've seen this term is on that card. And, you could say bio cards, I don't know. I understand some desire, but what is it called? Genetic. So 1 card of each type, 2 genetic or fleet for these. So they call this genetic manipulations and fleet improvements. If I had seen fleet improvements, I would know exactly what it is. Oh, you know where it is? It's on the back of the card. Perfect. So yeah, you should be maybe aware of it. And I mean, I guessed right. It was just kind of like, what the fuck? You know? Okay. It really looks, so it really looks like my buddy is coming up in a little over a week. And oh boy, now I'm really stressing about that. I was hoping you would back out of it. I don't know, just easier on everybody, right? I don't know. And I don't know if he's like bought an airplane ticket or something, because he's having an air mattress like delivered here. I think, I don't know, because I have no beds. I have an air mattress. It leaks over the course of a night, so I'm not. It was my wife's, and I'm not going to offer that to him. I was considering trying to fix it, but now, even though I said, look, place is a goddamn mess. It's weird because I had another friend who offered a couple of times to come up here under different circumstances, but like the first time was closer to this, where it was like soon after my wife died. But this, I feel like this was triggered more by just sort of I don't know, hey, I'd like to see you or something. Wow. Just weird to me. It's like, wow. Why? Oh, fuck. I don't know. Because the first time he offered, he was going to come see the eclipse, and then decided against it because of other reasons. But it's like, oh man, it just, and I don't know why, like, I didn't hem and haw more in this case. He's sort of further back in my past, right? The one friend was from college. This one's from really pre-high school, but we had high school together for a couple of years, and then he moved on. So why am I babbling like this? Well, first of all, I feel safer in here because I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch my whole game videos. But if he does, that's cool too. I mean, it's like, and I actually think he understands the stress issues and whatnot better than the other friend would. But what are we on? We're on these damn Starfarers. Okay, let's get to them. I actually chose not to buy something, and they can have, a cheap reduction in CV malfunction, which they'd like to do, in order to flush cards. Oh, didn't really get anything I wanted out of it, but I didn't like the cards I had. And just doing, something to be cheap didn't make a lot of sense. The other things that I had as choices, I can't do this because I don't have this yet. This is going to go down in price, even though I want it next turn, so screw it, I won't buy it this turn. And similarly this, I don't have the kind of money and whatnot to buy another CV, and we've already had base and earth production, so I'm not going to get a lot of money off of anything coming up. I do have room for another ship anyway, which is kind of one of the reasons. So one of the reasons to buy the larger ships. It's not because I have more room for, or I need more room for ships, but it's like I want to buy something important, right? And I'm close to limit or not. It doesn't really matter. The lower sized ships are just less important as the game goes on. Shit, I just saw I cheated again. I have difficulty with these kind of tech trees. I moved this guy forward with some 25. He had a bonus. Some 22 physics points. And I can't because I don't have this yet. I got to make that up. What about the other guy who's going forward? Yeah, he's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't see that, but now I do, and I'm like, well, I got to make this up somehow. I may draw randomly until I get the points back. This is a little cheaper to me, so I'll draw randomly until I get like 10 points back and switch to that. It's not really what I want. My analysis did not involve that being a valuable thing to get. Is it valuable because it's on the way to this? Yeah, but the main reason that I'm doing it this way is simply it's the easiest fix I can think of. It happened while I was looking for what the Praetorians want to do, and now I got to start over with them because I don't have any fucking clue what was up. I think I was thinking about buying into this as well, and so I couldn't. Kind of mistakes that I make on these charts and whatnot, I'm really bad at them, even in opposed play. It's actually one of the reasons I don't like playing games with this kind of tech chart or whatever in opposed play. And I'm not really thrilled with playing them when I'm playing solo either, because they're a pain in the ass. But I make almost as many, I make mistakes. The combined table tends to make almost as many mistakes whenever I play a game like this opposed. You really kind of have to be very, very familiar with the game and how to process it and everything. And everybody at the table has to, or at least almost everyone, because maybe there'll be somebody who watches the tech chart like a hawk and helps other people from screwing up or whatever. I would say there are similar things in, say, 18xx, but I'm used to playing that with people who are very familiar with it. I'm sure this is more appealing to the sort of the 4x type space games where you're doing this kind of tech tree more often. But for me, it's just a royal pain. I'm trying to remember what the big one was. I don't know. I like this better because most of the game is not as Euro-ish. And I don't know if this is particularly Euro-ish. It's just, I don't know. Something of a conundrum with the true path. I look at my cards, I don't like them. They're just not things I really want. This -1 to the cost of buying the first settlement on Earth each turn. Yeah, I mean, that could be great, but it just seems so minor. It's not worth a lot of victory points. It would be my second tech, so it'll cost me 15 to do. Just doesn't feel... I forgot about this. Geez, he didn't need to upgrade. I mean, I did it, so screw it, but he didn't need to upgrade there. I forgot about his advantage. Or was it him, or was it someone else? Yeah, it was him moving into here. Okay. Interesting. Oh, well. And that'll also increase his growth factor when I get to that, if I remember. But anyway, I don't like my cards, and I look at the table and I'm like, okay, I can pretty much do any engineering or physics probably. Well, like I said, this one's more expensive, this one's more expensive. Like, they're not as cheap as they're gonna get. This one is very clearly gonna get a lot cheaper. So unless I'm making a race for that, it kind of doesn't make sense, but maybe I am. And those are my only options, right? Are all things that I have kind of a negative for, so I'm like, yeah, let me ditch my cards. But then I look at the card pool, and yeah, I have 2 level 1s, but fleet I can get level 2s. I've already got a level 2, so I don't know. Maybe ditching is okay. But I think I'll chase these guys so that we all get a chance at that faster movement. Because I have I have enough physics to buy this, but I don't have enough to like buy this and then this next turn. So don't have cash, so I can't buy a big CV. So I dumped my cards anyway, grabbed a couple of level 1s. Nothing interesting. But it's just like, yeah, let's get things cheaper. Let's get things cheaper. Finished off with the transhumans going into here. They would have really liked to buy the bigger ship. They have room for a ship. They have money. And all they have are REs. That's why they didn't build a ship last time, I guess. But I didn't have the engineering tech to do it. And I'm in places where I'm going into places where engineering is produced. So I'm kind of like, yeah, let's just delay that. Maybe it'll get cheaper. Maybe, when I have the chits, that's fine. The idea of like spending influence or cash for that much, I have 9. I would have had to spend like, a couple of influence and $1 or something like that, or $5 or whatever, to get myself up to here. And I'm just like, let's get the movement rate up. I have physics right now, and I don't really care. Okay, let's look to see who got anything special. Well, first of all, these guys just, all ooze into where they're going, which is no big deal at all. But the one that is that the givers have gone up to this improved interstellar logistics, which gives them CV. Big one is the exploration bonus, goes up to +2. Like, this just keeps increasing. Nice. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know why. But I like to get a video up a week or something, and I don't know, again, whatever. Not because of YouTube, like they want you to do a couple a day, I think, or something. But I want to I like to get the video up before I go dancing. I'm not sure I'm going to get to play another full turn, given that I'm going shopping tomorrow, in the next 2 days, essentially. But that's life. What's life? A magazine. How much does it cost? 5 cents. I don't have 5 cents. That's life. All right. Yeah. Something I try to infect people with for some reason. I'm hoping this is my break for the night, because I have to, or I can play that other game as a little break from this, and then maybe get to sleep. Fucked up. I ended up sleeping all the way to raid. The dreams were too interesting. I certainly could have, I didn't know what time it was at any point, and that's kind of the problem. But I had a lot of different weird dreams, and I could have gotten up. Kind of, wait. See, what there is there's this sleep paralysis thing, but I can kind of force myself out of it, right? That's trying to keep you locked in, and I know how to break that, but it breaks the dream if you do that, and I wanted to keep going with the dream. And I basically woke up, a half hour before raid time, so then I played a little raid, then I went for a couple hours, then I went back to sleep, which I guess the goal there is I get up, or I'm awake somehow tomorrow morning and get out there. The problem is it's really hard for me to do shopping in the morning because it's cold. In the summer it's easy, but anyway, I don't know. It's not like I'm going to starve. It's just like I'm running lower. I'm going to have to get more food than I like to get and shit like that. And I'm going to, wow, we're up to that 25 now. I'm going to, I'm not able to eat the things that I like to eat that are easy. But, I have stuff like rice and oatmeal and stuff. I still have eggs even. I'm out of cheese. That's the big problem. Draw an event. Okay, be back in a moment. And it is Infectious parasites. All bases within 2 range will roll a die at the end of each turn and destroy settlements on 2 or less unless resolved. Okay, where does the event show up? We haven't had a locational event yet. It's got to be here. Draw a random event tile. If it doesn't have a combat or science challenge, perform the action listed. If it does, the player with the worst initiative who has at least 1 base must choose a system with one of their bases to place it in. Okay, that's going to be the givers. And they're over in this corner. I might as well impact the most people. I mean, I can put it down here and pretty much keep it to my little corner of the world. I might as well put it up here. It's only a 5 science. Well, actually, wait a minute. I can put it down here and solve it. Now, I just get 5 IPs for solving it. That's pretty cool. Because this is going to hit all of me at no matter what. So I might as well put it where I can guarantee that it gets resolved. Okay, not too terrible. It changes my order of things that I do, that's all. And what do I have under here? Some trade goods. A whole lot of arrivals here at Epsilon Eridani, here at Cygni, the total clusterfuck that's becoming, but also elsewhere. Of some interest, this extra 5, well, so it's extra 5 military, 3 science. We might be able to work something out where we can handle both, right? Let's see. Yeah, maybe split the IPs 3-2 or something. That way I can get the pile of settlements that I want. This guy obviously doesn't have the military to do this, but he might say, screw you, man. I don't have many bases close to this. I have 1. My only base. But, you know. And I really want one of those settlements instead. We'll see what kind of negotiation happens there. But he's probably willing to go along to some degree, and they can get both of these between them. And I knew it would happen. I just looked him up. We're on the 2300, right? Yeah. Only has 6 max ships. I don't know why, but I counted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, fuck. Now, none of them are REs. And here's the thing, now with this complicates the whole matter, right? But I'm going to need 7 combat capability, which this could handle. I think I just delete this ship. I think this is my worst ship. And I'll put the fine arts over here because it could have been there. But yeah, I've been trying to keep up with the count, but the board is getting so messy and everything, it's tough to do. Oh wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. But obviously I can't have too many ships, and I don't know how long I've had them. This one may have just left. And I managed to remember my free repairs for the syndicate. You know, a big part of what makes me nervous about like my buddy visiting or whatever, first of all, I don't understand entirely what's going on. Like, I think he's just visiting for my sake as some sort of intervention or something. But it's like, my life is not a pattern that like allows for something like this. Now, there's the addiction, which eats up, you know, like I say, like 12 hours a day. My thought is, oh, okay, I'll be able to stop during that period. But now there's like something that's being given out, you know, it's not free, but there's like a fusion coming of a champion. And if you don't play hard during that period, maybe more than 12 hours a day, depending, you're not going to get it. And it's for like 2 weeks straight. At least I'm not going to get it if I don't play hard. There are tools that allow you to like get around that and everything. But on top of that, just Jesus, my life is just, all over the place, time-wise, whatever. I'm never awake in normal times and all kind of shit like that. And there doesn't seem to be, and then there's also dancing. If he's coming up on Friday or something, I'm going to miss a week of dancing. I can live with that. I'm used to doing, like, I'm not addicted to that in the same way as I am. But man, it's just like, and I don't know, he's talking about bringing up a game to play, some kind of light war game or something. I don't know. It's something he wants to play, to learn, whatever. And I didn't even picture that kind of thing. I'm like, just go out walking places and stuff. But I don't know. I just don't know. Didn't detect any other fuck-ups. I don't think anybody built a ship. We got a couple here, but I think they flew in or were garrisoning or something along that line. Most people were at their maximum. The one guy who some didn't have enough cash, like the True Path just didn't have the cash. Transhumanists, they could build one of these, but I keep thinking, right? I got 5 on the board. Yeah, oh no, there's a 6th one down here. Oh, there's a way to sneak them in. Yeah, so he's actually full up. But he's actually waiting to build this, but like, then doesn't buy that tech advance. Well, he doesn't have the points for it really without cashing in. Let me go check on raid. I'll come back up for combat. First couple of players passed on opportunities. Like this one I could beat up on the Starfarers, but at the cost of a lot of escalation, and I just don't see it as valuable. But the Praetorians, who love combat, are sitting here with an 8 strength ship against 3 ships with a total strength of 5. That sounds appealing, but it's not like it's really an advantage to hit a bunch of ships with a low strength, because you get to choose, then they get to choose a hit and whatever. If I get bonus hits, it might mean I don't destroy anything, and they might actually be able to destroy my somewhat weaker. Like, I only have 4 hits total, whereas they have 8, even though they have a lot of, even though I have a lot of combat strength compared to them. Add to that the fact that I have a -2 to my combat die roll. I think I'm going to pass. If I had a directive that went for combat, I would go for it, but I just have this trade directive, which, screw it. I guess a little easier, I could pick on this thing and just destroy it. But again, I don't see the point in picking on him. He's going to have a warship coming in. That's not going to really matter. It just doesn't feel like there's any strong reason for me to probably take more negative escalation shots to shoot up somebody who I think is in last place right now. Now we come to the givers, and it's time to use combat for a valuable purpose. I want to get an insistence. Now, he doesn't have to agree, he doesn't have to comply with it, but that would create some sort of enmity. That we work on this together, not this. And that means I'll be combining and providing 3 and 3. I'll give him the 3 IPs and take the lesser 2 IPs, and it seems like a fair deal, and everybody's cool on that. So that's what's going to happen here for the exploration phase. And that way I don't attack him. I've got another potential battle though here. Let's look at the raid chart and see what is up. I could get money. That'd be cool. I could get tech. This one doesn't do me any good. This one is a little painful, but I think that's what I'm going to go for. I think I'm going to go for a raid. And I have to roll the percentile dice too, right? 25%. I am not a fast ship, so I don't get a bonus. So let's see. First of all, I get to steal $1 billion, and I'm safe on the 25%. So he has money. That's one thing. I can't force him to convert trade goods. But I do get escalation, which is worse than the money that I get off of it. And that's kind of the problem. It's one for a combat, and that's it. And I give him an IP, which is better than the $1 billion that I got off him. Now, the escalation could help me. It's not. It's I'm going to have to pay even more on Earth. Not a huge deal. I don't have anybody set up there. And he gets a big old IP off of it. So I've kind of like, you know, I got $1 billion and I caused him to get something that's more valuable, and I got a penalty for it. Not really worth it, right? And I've given him an attack marker so that next turn he can declare an attack on me. Wiping out his settlement might have been more valuable, but I didn't really want to do that. That would have been, you know, a higher cost and escalation, etc. And I don't, like, this guy is not really ready to go there, so yeah, why? I can settle there at least. All right, that's going to put us down to cargo transport, transfer, and trade, which I do in special ways, and pretty sure raid is ready for me to do a little bit of thinking before I come back up. I find myself just, you know, I mean, like I find myself hooked into, I need to play raid. Like, that's just sort of, you know, it's baked in. It's like going to work now or whatever. And not at all what I planned for my retirement. And I'm okay for the most part watching videos instead of like letting it play itself. Right now, I just got disgusted though, because although what I have to do, generally I feel like I have to spend a lot of time sitting there during this kind of activity in the game. It's not really efficient for me to put it on automatic for it. My resources for doing automatic battles are humongous, but I couldn't take sitting any longer. A little bit of stuff for raid and fought some arena battles and stuff just to, I don't know. There's a tournament for that, and I felt like doing a few. But I'm back up. I've got a new tobacco. Not real new. I've had it for since my last tobacco purchase, which was a while, within the last couple of weeks. And it's basically a mix of all the shit that they, you know, that they had scraps of and cleaning out their bins or whatever. And I think I'm going to order it regularly. It's actually cheaper than my normal tobacco, and it's a fresher, newer tobacco than the bagged shit that I prefer for my everyday. But it's very similar to me to like some of the mixes that I every now and then like, but never actually buy because I don't like them that much, and they're significantly more expensive. Somebody sent me a tin that was kind of this type. He didn't like it, and I'm like, wow, this tastes exactly like that to me, to my brain. All right, cargo transfer. How do I do this? I gotta keep reminding myself because I'm not playing enough. I do trade goods sales first, then I do all the other stuff along with movement in reverse initiative. Okay. Any trade goods they wanted to sell? I'm in some kind of confusing places where I think this ship is on its way somewhere rather than intending to colonize this. On its way somewhere because more flexibility, and also maybe I was waiting to get a lower movement point modifier or something like that. So I don't think I want to like swap this out and get the medicine. I don't have anywhere to bring the medicine anyway. And it could show up there as easily as anywhere else. Think a little bit, the givers are the first ones. Here, I've got like 3 colonists at a 7. Now this again may be at a waypoint. I've got 3 bases, I'm allowed 4. This is a base at 4 though, which means one more guy. If I drop a guy off, I get an advantage. But I get an advantage on maybe trade goods. No. I get an advantage only on the base production, which has already happened. And what hasn't happened is the growth phase. I think that's pretty much guaranteed to grow. I don't know. I guess I could look at that, make sure. Let's see what growth, how that works again. Settlement would have to be the habitability, which is shitty. It's only 40%, and I have no advantages there. And then for each 10 full settlements at all bases, you have less than the player with the most. Oh, fuck. Oh. Oh, God. If this game was on spreadsheets, that would be fine, but this is I didn't realize what this was. Now, is this... If your base is... Oh, good Lord. So I'm going to have to... I did not get this right last time. This increation of migration. I think I just ignored it, and I kind of feel like I should ignore it, because it just looks so fucking annoying to do. The population, because I'm going to have to calculate a percent. First of all, I'm going to have to calculate who has the most bases, record that, however many they had at the start, and then calculate each person's total bases, total settlements. Now, it's at bases, so I don't have to worry about what's on the ships at least this time. For growth, if a base has 10 or fewer, it adds 1. Yeah. So I will get 1 for guarantee, regardless of what I do. I don't think I did this right last time. It is far more complicated than it looks, and I don't know how many times I've had a settlement growth. I know, the first couple times probably didn't matter at all, but I feel like I did it at least once where this should have been in play, and I did not. Again, there's no nice little formula sticking out to remind you of all the things that you have to go look at in the wall of text. Yeah. So I will grow, which I think means that I do not want to settle that, because that's going to go up to a 5, plus maybe more. Plus maybe more. And everywhere else that they are, I don't see it. So now I figure out where the hell I want to move this ship. Now, I could move it here and get myself into the same kind of position on a planet that probably has a good increase rate. Or I could schlep my stuff towards something else. There's something like this, or way out here or whatever, that maybe there's some advantage to. I don't know. The end decision is the same reason I have a ship out here. I need to get out of my little corner. So I'm going to start heading over. Now I'm going to this as a way spot. I could just go 4 movement all the way out to there. But maybe my CV movement will be higher by the time I reach. Oh, my CV movement is not 2. It's 3. I thought he was at 2. How about that? Yeah, but my CV movement might be 2 by the time I reach here. So The only danger is by making stops along the way, I might get attacked. I have some combat capability. I don't see too many people who scare me. I see warships that are bigger than mine. That's not the issue. I don't see people that I'm just afraid of, which is really the Praetorians. I feel like they're the people who like to kill things. For the most part, people aren't moving, but I had an interesting choice here. I had some colonists here. I could have moved them here, try to increase the size of that base. Right now, I am at 3 bases, which is my maximum for the Praetorians. But my goal is to get one more of these markers for the title or whatever. I don't know what my directive is to sell fine art and earth. I looked at it. I don't have an opportunity to do anything with it. Someday maybe I'll produce some. Be nice. I do have the capacity to haul 1 ore back to Earth. That's not worth doing. So I'm just increasing my colony, and I'm going to go for and hope I get, hope I get lucky there, or maybe here. Timing wise, I don't know what's going to happen. But there is one player who does exploration before me for the surveys, which means I have an opportunity. If he succeeds once and I succeed once, I'll get that counter. Trying to look where else I might want to do something, but it's hard hard to justify. Now, yeah, I don't know. But putting him here makes the most sense. It gives me more defensive capabilities, and I might want to, because this still only holds 1, I'll pick up that ore just to give myself more space on there. Although, have trade goods been pulled? Yeah, trade goods have been pulled, so it kind of doesn't matter. Okay. There was one more really kind of hard movement choice. I had a true path ship here and another one here. I'm just shifting them down. This one, there's nothing he can really do there. He could pick up some materials and move them somewhere else. I don't know, maybe a demand will show up or something. This one's helping protect this, can do some exploration. This guy, I don't have the money to build colonists is the problem. That's stupid. Of course I have the money to build colonists. I have trade goods. Might not be able to build many. All my ships are fast. That means their speed is actually 1.5, so I get an advantage to go further. Let me think about him some more, because I am allowed 4 bases. Wow. And I think I only have 2. I'm foregoing the fast movement that my ships have that I forgot about. This guy has fast movement too, but this is where he wants to go, so. Like, that 1.5 doesn't really do me any good. Eventually it gets to 1 though. That'd be sweet. So yeah, this still takes 2, but getting to here would also take me 2. But I'd rather protect my base at the same cost. But this guy, I forgo the fast movement ship, and I ended up spending, I don't know, I had $1. I must have had like 4 trade goods I could cash in, and then an IP, which I hate to give up, but to give myself 2 more colonists on the way. I feel like I need to expand more. All that means, because my battery's kind of running down, that one's charging. Yeah, I got 2 in reserve, but the charger there is so iffy, the spare charger. I think I'm going to go down, check my raid stuff, and play my other game a little bit before I get down to the exploration. But damn. On the bright side, I'm almost certain to make it here and get this video up before I go dancing. Regardless of my whether I make it shopping or not, I'm too awake at this point to go back to sleep, I think. Fucked up in some ways, with my wife, we regularly went shopping every 2 weeks on Sunday. But there would be exceptions. And the exceptions didn't bother me in terms of breaking rules because they were a matter of the fun part of breaking rules, right? Like, yeah, we can go another week without going shopping. That's okay. And, the Sunday pattern would still hold so that because, my week was fixed and everything in a lot of other ways. And then if I had a day off, that I was going to take during a weekday, or if it was summertime and we could go late on a weekday or something like that. Every now and then we would just do that, and it would be like, I don't know. It was like a vacation type thing to be able to be that flexible and decide, yeah, I don't really feel like going this week or this day, and we can tweak it around, or something along. There were just many things along that lines, and it was like a refreshing break. Whereas now, whenever I go, it's this humongous burden because I don't have that pattern. 5 a.m. now, and fuck it. Made coffee. What will be, will be. All right, on to exploration. To the deal here. This guy succeeded once, damaged himself with both his ships. Okay, so the deal is going to be he's going to put in 3 towards this and get 3 of the IP. That means I've got to put the rest in. So I'll get 2 of the IP and the 3 settlements as well. Resolution of the anomaly will increase habitability for migration chances. I noticed this before, but the givers are up to a +2 exploration, and I noticed the exploration bonuses while I'm rolling for that. So far it hasn't kicked in to give me a double chip pull yet. But here, that extra exploration is enough for me to clear this out. So it's actually really a good thing that I'm going there. It's not just a waypoint. And I have to hunt all over to find the RE exploration bonus. Nowhere would be. Certainly it wouldn't be in biology. It makes sense that it's in engineering. But it's like, yeah. Again, these charts, this much game state contained in disparate areas of the game, as opposed to like all on a spreadsheet, is just very painful for me. Finally happened with a 13. We're going to get 2 draws over here in the Physics Cup, which is going to start increasing exploration values significantly. They're super cool because they actually have a +10% chance of finding anomalies with their CV, and I found one with that as well. Which is going to give me an IP, but let's see what we get. This over here. Megafauna. And that's going to presumably produce fauna increases. But it does mean no more base building there until it's resolved. I could resolve this on my next turn. And the true path is not going to be there in time. So yeah, kind of cool. Forgot it again this turn. Trade demand here. Does yellow have anything that helps with that? Extra trade good. Nope. So we'll pick our demand. There's another one up here that I missed. And the poor old Starfarers got screwed again. They succeeded in getting a draw. They actually had a 10 on that, because they're bonused up the waz. But they managed to get a highly unlikely malfunction for them. They've got a 14% malfunction rate, -3 here. Still managed to slip under there. It happens. But yeah, things are just going so poorly for them. And, they should have gotten the Vegan goal. by now. Short break this time, but I'm back up to do the tech. Still haven't gotten around to my secondary game. Although, again, that can take like a half hour if I wanted to. A little over halfway through the tech advances, and I guess I wanted to say a couple of things. One is the Starfarers bought one of each. They kind of want to get rid of their cards, but this is what brought this up to me to be interesting. This is an expensive card, right? Roll 2 dice for mining and choose which one to use. Bases produce more when producing cash. This is kind of like, there's 2 type 1s that are kind of like this. This is worth 8 victory points though, which is a lot of victory points. And it's hard to balance. I look over here at the Praetorians, who, you know, have something that's the same price, but is very valuable perhaps. Crew vehicle cargo capacity +1 for ships that carry cargo, but that's only worth 1 victory point. So there's kind of this balancing attempt to like make cards that are going to help you win the game through their functionality that are particularly good aren't worth a lot of victory points. I tend to go for those because they help my engine. But you know, I could take something like this and work hard on running mining ships. I have a couple of them. You know, and maybe get a lot of benefit out of it as well as that big pile of victory points. Of course, I spent all my tech, well, no, I spent a lot of my tech to get 3 advances, although the buyout one was really cheap. Yet also illegal. Son of a bitch. I've got all kind of people getting this illegally. Again, I'm just not able to see the... fuck. Well, yellow, I think, needed that settle any system. Because they're down here on a shit system. I mean, I can't go reversing some of these things. You hand me a tech tree like this, and I have too much trouble. And I'm not upset with the design of it particularly, because I know other people can handle these just fine. I just fucking can't. And I think it's not that uncommon to not be able to handle these kind of things, because if you recall, you know, if you're an old-time programmer, flowcharts were a big deal. These sort of graphical representations, and they have completely gone out of vogue. No one does anything like that. There are, I don't remember what there are. There's some other kind of control flow diagrams that express more. But I still find, I'm just not a visual thinker, right? In the same sort of way. Like, I want to put things down in sort of a procedural, much as I dislike that as well, listing as to what must happen. But there are things that can only be represented in a graph-like form like this, or graphic if you prefer. But this is a graph. It's a directed graph, but the usage is different from what I'm used to dealing with in graphs. This sort of must have this and this, I don't know. Anyway, they just don't work for me somehow. I don't know what I'm supposed to, you know, I don't know what could replace it, though. That's the problem. I obviously can't do this, and it would cost me 1 more bio to get in there. I'm going to see if I can fix other people by buying them up this turn at least. Brought everybody into compliance this turn as kind of a forced thing. And that was particularly bad for the True Path because they had to spend like 4 influence. They have no money. They had almost no bio. This was an expensive purchase for them, right, that they needed. It might have some impact, but I think for the most part, this pretty much clears things up. I don't think it mattered that much for the transhumanists. Screw it either way. For the Starfarers, I could just avoid making the problem this turn. for whatever that's worth. The problem is this looked cheap. This was cheap and more advantageous, and I think I just blocked that out. So we got advances into things like that. We have an advance up into here. That's allowable. Advances into here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh-oh, forgot to put a, that's going to be a, everybody has this at this point. Let's get them out. But we got a movement up to the 1.5 here, and we've got this filling out and a movement here jumping way ahead of everybody else, getting an IP there as well. This one again will end up being everybody there, which makes life a little easier because I don't get confused seeing a blue one here and not seeing that one, or whatever, not going to look for that one. It was a mix. Like, I might very well, like, if I didn't have the blue one here, I might not notice that they had this, although it kind of doesn't matter because that's better. So I don't know. All right, let me hand, let's see, 3 IPs being handed out here. Get me to the midpoint of the century, which is where I want to load up. So that's cool. And then I'll go play my other video game after I'm done sending this up.